Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're putting on our metaphorical trench coats and grabbing our magnifying glasses. Why? Because we are acting as detectives. We're diving into some incredibly fascinating source material from the Academy curriculum that actually teaches us how to uncover hidden traps in the everyday arguments we hear literally all the time. Think about it, whether you're scrolling through social media, watching the news, or just chatting with a friend, people are constantly trying to persuade you, right? But are their arguments actually built on solid ground, or are they setting a trap for your mind? Today, we're going to learn exactly how to spot these logical fallacies, and we'll explore how the curriculum shows a foundation of biblical morality, providing the ultimate armor against them.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, spotting the argument trap. Second, the circular reasoning loop. Third, the bandwagon trap. Fourth, the combination trap. Number 5, we'll test your detective skills. And finally, number 6, education rooted in morality. Let's get started.
Section 1. Spotting the argument trap. Why it matters. The big idea we need to establish right out of the gate is, well, it's a pretty simple truth. Not all arguments are actually strong. We often assume that just because someone is speaking confidently, or maybe they're using really complex words, or presenting themselves as an absolute expert, that their reasoning must be solid. But honestly, confidence is not competence. And volume? Volume is definitely not validity. So why does spotting these traps actually matter? Well, because if you can spot a weak argument, you instantly protect yourself from being fooled. It's really all about intellectual independence. The source material emphasizes that learning these skills teaches you to literally think for yourself, so you learn not to be swayed by shallow reasoning. Spotting these conversational illusions protects your mind, it keeps your peace intact, and it absolutely empowers you to make smart, healthy choices based on reality rather than manipulation. Moving on to Section 2, the circular reasoning loop, going nowhere fast. Okay, I want you to picture a hamster in a cage, just running as fast as it possibly can on its little wheel. It's putting in a whole lot of effort, spinning and spinning, but it is going absolutely nowhere fast. And that is exactly what this first logical fallacy does in a conversation. By definition, circular reasoning is an argument that simply repeats the claim without providing any real new evidence. It's a massive trick played right on our brains. You see, when we hear the word because in a sentence, our brains automatically expect evidence to follow. Circular reasoning uses that exact expectation against us. It sounds totally convincing at first glance, but it's actually providing zero new information. It's really just a loop. Consider this perfect example straight from the text. This law is fair because it is just. Now, notice how confident that sounds, but let's actually break it down. The speaker is claiming the law is fair. When asked for evidence, the because part, they just say it is just. But wait a minute, fair and just literally mean the exact same thing. They haven't offered a single piece of proof. No data, no logical reasoning whatsoever. They just repeated their original claim using a synonym. The hamster wheel spins, but the argument goes absolutely nowhere. All right, Section 3, the bandwagon trap, the crowd illusion. Let's see how this builds into our next conversational hazard. If circular reasoning is a hamster wheel, well, the bandwagon trap is a stampeding herd. This is a massive favorite of advertisers, politicians, and frankly, just everyday peer pressure. It leverages our deep, fundamental human desire to belong to the group. The bandwagon trap is defined as the suggestion that you should do something, buy something, or believe something simply because everyone else is doing it. The underlying manipulation here is this totally false idea that popularity somehow equals truth. But, as history has shown us time and time again, massive groups of people can be, and often are, completely wrong. Recognizing that popularity does not equal quality or truth is an absolutely crucial point to remember for your own peace of mind. Take this classic social pressure trap, for example. All the cool kids are wearing this brand, so you should too. So the crucial point here is this. I want you to notice what is entirely missing from this argument. There is literally no mention of the clothing's quality, the price, the durability, or whether it even looks good on you. The argument tries to completely bypass your critical thinking skills and just directly attack your social insecurities. It's an illusion of value created entirely by a crowd. Now, the source material seamlessly bridges this secular logic with its biblical foundation. It points directly to Exodus 23:2, which bluntly states, "Do not follow the crowd in doing wrong." Thousands of years before we ever even coined the term bandwagon fallacy, Scripture was already warning against falling into this exact trap. It's a timeless reminder from the text that right and wrong are definitely not determined by a majority vote. Which brings us to Section 4. The combination trap. Double the illusion. Now, things get really interesting when these rhetorical traps decide to team up to try and fool us completely. Sometimes, an argument is so deeply flawed that it actually layers multiple fallacies on top of each other, creating this double illusion that can be incredibly persuasive if you aren't paying close attention. And this brilliantly illustrates that point. Consider a statement like, "Everyone says this diet works." Okay, that is our bandwagon trap right there. It's totally relying on the crowd. But listen to the supposed evidence. "Because it's the most popular diet." That is circular reasoning. This statement is literally using popularity as its only proof for its popularity. It says it works because it's popular, and it's popular because everyone says it works. It's just a giant, empty bubble of logic. And the best part is, once you learn to see it, you really can't unsee it. Section 5. Test your detective skills. Homework time. All right, detectives, it is time to put your newly acquired skills to the test. In the original curriculum this source comes from, this is exactly where the homework is assigned. Let's look at it as a rapid-fire challenge to lock in what we've just learned together. I want you to answer this prompt right now. Why is circular reasoning a weak form of argument? Think back to our hamster wheel for a second. It's weak because it completely lacks a foundation. It relies on the illusion of evidence rather than actual proof. If you can remember that it's just repeating the claim in a loop, you will never be fooled by it again. The source outlines some really fantastic real-world missions for you to try out. First, try defining circular reasoning in your own words. Then, the next time you open up social media, actively hunt for bandwagon examples. I promise you, they take about 3 seconds to find in the ads. Next, try spotting faulty reasoning in a news article. And then, do the absolute hardest part. Mentally write a rebuttal to it. By actively hunting for these traps in your daily scrolls and news feeds, you're going to turn this theory into a reflex. And finally, Section 6, Education Rooted in Morality, the Ultimate Armor. Now, we transition to the deeper core philosophy of the heroesmartacademy source material. Being able to spot logical traps, well, that's really only half the battle. To navigate the world, the curriculum introduces this concept of education rooted in morality, which it presents as the ultimate armor. The curriculum lays this out in 3 vital steps. Step 1 is the claim that education without morality can actually hurt. Moving to step 2, the source asks us to note that supposedly highly educated people still make destructive choices all the time. It really begs the question, what is the point of being smart if you're without a moral compass? And that leads us right to step 3, relying on biblical morality. The source essentially posits that true education must be intertwined with a moral foundation to actually benefit the learner in the long run. The source concludes this philosophical teaching by sharing a promise found in Romans 8, 6, and 7. It suggests that when you combine critical thinking, the ability to spot the world's traps, with a spiritual mind grounded in morality, the result is genuine peace. According to the text, you get a mind that is calm, protected, and fully focused on what truly matters. So the source leaves us with this final, provocative thought to carry with us today. If education and critical thinking help you spot the traps hidden in the world's arguments, how will you use a spiritual, morally grounded mind to protect your peace today? Recognizing the trap is absolutely the first step, but choosing to walk past it? Well, that requires wisdom. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep your eyes open, keep your mind sharp, and I'll see you next time.